They're like trying to solve the issue of his controversial legacy, and it's all these brilliant minds coming together, like the administrators. And what they decided to come out was, hey, let's spend bank making him another statue, because that'll really make people excited.
On October 5th, Princeton University unveiled a statue installation called Double Sights, meant to address the positive and negative aspects of Woodrow Wilson's legacy on this campus. Now, as the 13th president, Woodrow Wilson's legacy is undeniable, and in some ways it's unavoidable on this campus. We have our School of International Affairs and Public Policy named after him, as well as one of the rest colleges also named after him. On the other hand, Woodrow Wilson was a white supremacist who was known to actively work against the entrance of colored students into this university. In the past, there have been student-led protests regarding how much of a presence Woodrow Wilson should have on this campus. October 5th was no different, as students showed out for a silent teach-in and protest against the presence of the statue.
First question, how do you feel about the statue?
I think it should have never been put up. I think the university is relying on the resistance that Black students, particularly from the Black Justice League, put forward back in 2016, back in 2017. They're the ones who really kicked up this national conversation about Woodrow Wilson's legacy. And what they asked for were not just palpable resources, but also for the university to acknowledge that Woodrow Wilson was a white supremacist.
You know, basically the symbolism behind it is that the white pillar is supposed to symbolize, like, I guess the leading of like white people on Black labor and on Black bodies, whatever. That makes sense. All right, sure, great. But when you connect that to Woodrow Wilson's legacy, that all falls apart, man. Like, don't try that.
Personally, I just think we need to stop debating his legacy, because like by debating his legacy, we're just maintaining that he should have a legacy here. And it's like fine, back in the day, maybe we could, that, you know, the impact that he's had it, he's been here, he's said what he said, he's done what he's done, but like I think at this point we need to move on and like start focusing on new legacies and creating new legacies.
As a president, like, he definitely wasn't kind towards Korean Americans and kind towards Asian Americans. And I think that the two sides hopefully opens up more conversations about that.
What it does is to appropriate images of scholars of color when at Princeton University there is such low diversity among faculty, staff. And so if you look at the statute, it's appropriating scholars and activists of colors, but it's tokenizing them in a campus where there's such low diversity and where there's so low visibility of the stories, the voices of people of color in public spaces. So they're actually being tokenized in order to maintain the Wilson name.
So what do you suggest that they should have done to kind of acknowledge the negative aspects of his legacy rather than build a statue?
Well, honestly, considering like his legacy is controversial, even though like times, like things were different back then, and I don't think it's like completely appropriate to judge him like entirely on that.
There wouldn't be a Wilson name in any school. There wouldn't be a Wilson monument if he had perpetrated mass violence against white communities. So I think that what the monument shows is that a legacy is only complicated when it is perpetrated against people of color.
We shouldn't have a statue, and the main reason we shouldn't have a statue is because if the university is going to say that they're trying to create things by which to demonstrate their commitment to marginalized communities, they should just put their money where their mouth is and give those communities money. Like Harvard, for example, has a program in which they've actively put people in public housing. Like they've funded over 7,000 homes, 7,000 roofs to put over people's heads.
People on campus, activists on campus, people of color on campus, women on campus, in every form of protest that's happened at the school, have kind of given the university a very defined blueprint with room for growth and room for conversation and collaboration. And the university basically just said, no, like, that's cool that you guys thought that, but we need you guys to be quiet now because there's a statue. I just think it's weird.
I think that they could have just outright rejected Woodrow Wilson and all that he's done. There is no need for him to be elevated on this campus in any way, shape, or form.
So the school shouldn't have to go around changing the names of everything that has his name on it, but they should be more conscious of the fact that like he was a very like like gross person in terms of the things he said.
Instead of dealing with this controversy by putting up a statue, it should be more of a like, how does this affect the students? How do people feel about his legacy, and how are we dealing with the way people feel? Like, putting up a statue isn't addressing that at all.
I think that, while those sort of opinions were definitely held more often back then, were more accepted, it's important to acknowledge the fact that those people still supported those opinions, I don't think I would go as far as to take his name off the school. I'd say that it's definitely a positive thing that Princeton's gone out of their way to recognize the negative dimensions.
We're sitting in a room right now full of like women's history and like talking about like the good things that have happened there and like the bad things. And I think they should have something like that for Wilson instead of just honoring him.
It was really sad to me how at the teach-in at the protest, the founder of the BSU was up there, and he's quite an elderly man. So the fact that like these were questions that him and his classmates were having in maybe the 70s when there were students there are questions that we're having in 2019. So it's just like, and I'm sure that their administration was also talking some bullshit about, let's start a conversation. And it's just like, y'all started conversations, but meanwhile, people are still like suffering from the emotional consequences.
I will say, I love this school. Like, even though I really disagree with the statue, I love this school. It feels like being betrayed, which is a good thing because it means that I put trust in this university. But I don't want my trust to be betrayed by my home. Like, Princeton is my home. And this statue makes me feel like an institution that I care a lot about doesn't care about me.
That shit costs so much money, and I live in Maddie, so I don't live with AC. I don't have my own private bathroom. There's bugs everywhere, and somehow the school just has millions of dollars to spend on another statue for Woodrow Wilson.
So it was really cool and a lot of fun to make this video. I'd say it was extremely gratifying to be able to get a feel for the thoughts and emotions that students on this campus have about the statue. One thing we definitely struggled with was getting opinions about, or opinions in favor of the statue's presence. But nonetheless, we encourage the conversation to continue offline and beyond the walls of this video. So as a result, we've linked a couple of articles in the description about the statue's installation, and we've also linked a video describing the Black Justice League protests that happened a few years back. So we hope you go through that content. We hope you continue the conversation. And in the next couple weeks, we'll be having on-campus conversations hosted in the Carly Field Center. So please be sure to check that out as well. And thank you.